And welcome to this Dialogue Extra. I'm Marcia Franklin. I'm here with Boise author Kurt Koontz. He's written a book about his adventure along the Camino de Santiago trail in Spain, northern Spain, called A Million Steps. Thanks for staying here for a little bit longer to talk about this. And I wanted to go into a little bit more detail about any tips, first of all, that you might have for people thinking about doing this. You were already fit. You work out every day. But for somebody who isn't, now, as you've seen other people on the trail, what would you recommend for, say, conditioning to get ready for this 500-mile journey? I'm sure there's nothing you can, definitively do, but a few things.
I think the most important thing is to go out and start walking. You can just start on the greenbelt path here and then eventually get up in the foothills and get used to some elevation. But the most important thing to do, if you really are serious about this trip, is make darn sure that your shoes are broken in. Blisters sideline a lot of people on this trip, especially in the first couple of days. So you want to make sure that you've worn your shoes around your house, take them to the grocery store, get them out on the trails, and break those shoes in for sure.
Now, what do you go about? You try to go about 18, 20 miles a day?
Everybody does it at a different pace. The pace I did was I averaged 17 miles a day. Up front, I had some days that were 23, 24.
That's almost a marathon.
That's a lot of, it's a lot of walking. But I kind of ran out of runway where at the end of the trip, I was doing roughly 10 miles a day. And it's amazing how easy those 10 miles become at that point in time. But you have to have some level of conditioning. And if you don't, walking across the Pyrenees Mountains and the subsequent hills beyond that will get you in shape pretty rapidly.
What about mental conditioning for walking that many miles, sometimes by yourself, sometimes with people that you don't know, or were you always with people you don't know but maybe you're not comfortable with? So
I think that mental preparation is number one. There's a guidebook that I used, and it's written by a man named John Brierley, and it's kind of the gold standard of Camino guidebooks, and I would recommend that people get that. That book has a lot of information on what to pack and where to fly into and all of those types of things. And he goes through a long mental checklist, and I think that the biggest thing you have to worry about on a trip like this is a lot of people take a journey like this hoping to find something. My advice is if you're looking for something, you'll never find it. If you go with an open mind and leave your expectations behind, the world opens up like a flower and you'll learn a lot. But don't go there saying you're going to solve a problem. And take every day as it comes and realize there's going to be really good things that happen and there's going to be really bad things that happen. And you can't get too overjoyed about the good ones and you can't get too uptight about the bad ones.
Now, you mentioned in the book that you really enjoyed having music along for part of your trip. That was a big thing for you.
I did. I listened to music for about an hour a day, and it was just, those songs were so rich, and it really helped me get through maybe some mundane times, or it just came at the right moment. Some people didn't like that. They thought that by using music it was taking away from the experience, and again, it's to each their own. And you can do whatever you want on this trail.
Yeah, now there's cell phones and everything, so people can stay in touch when
if you want, in these tiny villages, you can have your cell phone and they have Wi-Fi, and it's just like walking down the streets of Manhattan. You can be connected to your stock quotes and Yahoo News and whatever you want. I chose to have none of that. I didn't take a phone at all, and I really would recommend, if you're going on a trip like this, leave the phone behind.
You did keep a journal, though. Do you recommend doing that?
I did. I kept a journal, and I wrote about a half page a day. It wasn't horribly in depth. And what I found when I wrote the book was my photographs. I took 2,295 photos. Without those photos, I couldn't have written it, but I was able to really relive the trip through
each one of those photos is like a little story in and of itself, right?
They're my babies.
So you don't need to, bring any food with you, but you get it along the way, right? But sometimes you might come into a town where it's too late, right, to get something. I mean, you have to be prepared to sometimes, or get up early before things are open. So
yeah, it's the kind of a trail where everything just works out, and you have to kind of leave some of your normal rigid moves or routines or whatever they are. You kind of have to leave them behind, and it does just all work out. To go on this trip, what you need is a backpack, you need 3 pairs of socks, 3 pair of underwear, some hiking shorts, and a hat, and some very basic items which are covered in a number of these guidebooks. So you get your pack, you get a plane ticket, and you fly there. And then you start walking. And it really is not more difficult than that.
Well, do you find that you get to some of these places and the beds are all taken? Well, maybe you're a fast walker, so maybe not, but...
At the time of year that I walked, it wasn't an issue. I went in the fall on purpose to avoid the larger crowds. In the middle of summer, it is an issue. The day I started, about 250 people started. In the middle of summer, it's about 1,000 people a day. And there's not enough beds and this and that for that many people. For me, it wasn't an issue, and that's why I chose to go when I did.
Do you think it's become too crowded, too popular?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. It certainly is not Disneyland. You don't get over there it's maintained as these old villages, and there's not a lot of commerce. There's no fast food restaurants, and there's no craziness. It seems they really have maintained the integrity. But as more and more people do it, I think it's going to be hard to stop that. But that's just the nature of our world, and change happens.
And some of these albergues, is that how you pronounce it? Places where you stay.
Yes.
They were crowded, triple bunks sometimes. I know you said that you shouldn't go in like too nervous about not sleeping, but in point of fact, there's snoring. There's people getting up at various times of the night or getting up to leave. So there is some commotion. Do you recommend taking earplugs, taking something that might help you go to sleep?
I would recommend definitely taking earplugs. Earplugs are mandatory on the Camino. And then I took a little Xanax and some Ambien to get me through some rough times. I didn't need it very often, but a couple nights I did. And the other thing I took that I didn't expect, I picked up on the airplane. When I walked through the first class section, they have those little eye patches. And that was the greatest thing I had, because you can just turn the lights out and plug your ears up and sleep pretty soundly.
Well, let's kind of segue to writing the book, because we were not able to really get into detail on that in the program. You decided towards the end of the trip, yes, or middle of the trip, that this might be something that you would do, and you had the journal and the photos. But it's one thing to think about doing it; it's another thing to do it. Yeah.
About halfway through the trip, I decided to write a book to share this experience with the universe, and that's why I wrote the book. When I came home, it's really, Marcia, it's like anything else. It's like walking the Camino. How do you walk the Camino? You get a backpack and a plane ticket, you fly there, and you start walking. How do you write a book? You start typing. And you sit down at your computer.
In the old days, it was just you're writing.
You have to sit down and you have to start putting words onto a document. And I was able to, I had my journal and I had those photos. And I went through with the photos and tried to relive day by day, and I just wanted to get kind of a whole journal down on paper. And I ended up over about 6 or 7 months with about 72,000 words, which is probably a 250-page book. I then found an editor, local in Boise here, and an incredible woman, and of course her daughter had walked the Camino the year before. And I turned it all over to her, and she cut 20,000 words out, and she helped me arrange it into different chapters, and we really worked together very well. And then as we got further down the road, we went chapter by chapter, and she kind of gave me writing assignments. She said, Kurt, turn this into dialogue, change this to a description, and we really kind of worked back and forth. When you're done with the manuscript, you have to get a cover done, and then you have to get an interior design done. Well, you just go and find those people. The man I found happened to live in Horseshoe Bend, and he does a lot of work for New York publishers, and he did my cover design. After that, you load the files up onto Amazon, and people can go there and order you the Kindle version or the paperback version through Amazon. The nice thing about being an author today, there's no inventory. If you order 2,000 of these books through Amazon, which I recommend you do today, in a couple days those books will be on your doorstep. When they're ordered, not one of them exists. So you order 5 copies, they print 5 copies, they ship them to your home.
We're talking about self-publishing.
Self-publishing, yes.
Yeah, you didn't want to go out and try and find, a publisher or...
I really didn't, and who would have me? I mean, I've never written a book before, and I have no status in that arena, and I thought, gosh, if I'm going to I'd rather take the risk of paying for it myself up front, and if I do hit a home run, I'm not saddled with anything. And I'm very happy to have taken that route. And I have had several publishers have called me now because the book has been quite successful. And I've found nothing that really appears to be that attractive. But if the right deal came along, I'm sure be open to it.
Now, when you write a book like this so that it's doesn't end up just being a travelogue, you have to have a story arc in it. You have to find maybe a challenge or something to move through. And in this instance, it was a relationship that you were in at the time.
Yeah.
And that provided a little bit of tension, wistfulness, sadness. Yes. So that it was not just a travelogue.
What I really tried to do with the book is I tried to make it a story where people could feel what it's like to be in my shoes on this walk. So I opened up on everything. I have an alcohol history. I wrote about that. I was in the midst of a 4-year relationship with a woman I was deeply in love with, and I wasn't sure where that was heading. Wasn't sure where a lot of things in my life were going. So I tried to go what I call open kimono with the book, and I just let it all spill out. And I tried to make it where it's not a diary, but you get a little day-by-day experience. It's not a history book, but you'll learn a little bit about the origins of the Camino. It's not a personal self-help book, but there's a lot of life lessons in here. And I tried to smish them all together into the book, and I think I did it.
Enough to want to do it again?
Enough to want to write another book,
yeah.
Or to walk the Camino again?
Well, both.
I'm not sure about writing another book. I wrote this because I wanted to share the experience. It wasn't that I've had a desire to be a writer all my life. If I take another experience that I feel I need to share, I'll write another book in a heartbeat. But what I really enjoy now is I'm doing a lot of speaking, and I really like the one-on-one, or not the one-on-one, but I like to be in front of a group and to take that avenue. So I see a lot more speaking as opposed to writing.
And walking the Camino again?
I'm not going to walk the Camino again, but I'm going to go to a country called Bhutan shortly and do a long trek through the Himalayas, and I'm very excited about that.
Well, if you end up writing a book about that, I'll look forward to reading it as well.
Okay. Well, I'll write it for that reason then.
No, write it for yourself and for others, but that's going to be really, really interesting to go to Bhutan. And of course, as we've talked before, there are Bhutanese refugees here, right in Idaho.
There's a lot.
So there's definitely a connection there with that faraway country. And
it's an
little old Idaho.
It's an incredible country. There's 500,000 people. They're all Buddhist. They had no television or internet until 1999, and they measure their progress by gross national happiness. I need to be there.
Let us know how it was. I assume you'll keep a blog, and we can check in on that. Thanks so much for spending a little bit more time with me in this extra, talking about tips for the Camino and tips for writing a book. Appreciate it very much. You've been listening to Kurt Koontz. He's a Boise author who wrote a book called A Million Steps about his time on the Camino de Santiago trail in northern Spain. I'm Marcia Franklin. Thanks for watching.